1 year after the first railgun demonstration, Admiral Jin-Woo Park stood on the bridge of humanity's flagship, the UES Incheon's Thunder. The massive vessel represented everything the galaxy had learned from human innovation, combined with alien engineering expertise. Its sleek hull contained the most advanced kinetic weapon systems ever built, but more importantly, it carried the hopes of dozens of species working together. Through the main view screen, Jin-Woo watched a remarkable sight. Ships from 47 different civilizations moved in perfect formation, their hulls gleaming with the integrated technology that had become the new galactic standard. Vorthak crystal ships floated alongside human steel vessels. Quillen hive ships coordinated with Nathari gas clouds. Species that had barely spoken to each other for centuries now worked as a unified fleet. "Admiral, incoming transmission from the Zilani Republic flagship," the communications officer announced. The young human woman worked alongside a Quillen node speaker, who helped translate the more complex alien languages that their systems couldn't handle automatically. "Put them through," Jin-Woo replied. Fleet Commander Zelros appeared on the main screen, his reptilian features showing the excitement that had become common among the younger galactic civilizations. "Admiral Park, our kinetic systems are fully operational. The Zilani Republic is ready to take our place in the Galactic Defense Initiative." Jin-Woo nodded with satisfaction. The Zilani had been one of the species most oppressed by pirate organizations. Their transition to kinetic weapon technology had not only protected their shipping lanes but had given them the confidence to become active participants in galactic affairs for the first time in their history. "Welcome to the fleet, Commander Zelros. Your people have earned their place here." Dr. Sora Kim approached Jin-Woo's command chair, carrying a tablet filled with technical reports. Her role had evolved far beyond weapons research. She now led the Galactic Technology Integration Project, helping species across the galaxy adapt human innovations to their unique needs and capabilities. "Admiral, I have the final reports from the Outer Rim surveys," she said. 7 more civilizations have requested membership in the Defense Initiative. 3 of them are species we've never encountered before. Apparently, word of our technology has reached the unexplored regions of the galaxy. The expansion had been extraordinary. What started as a demonstration to earn humanity respect had become a revolution that was bringing previously unknown civilizations into the galactic community. The promise of defensive technology that could protect them from any threat was drawing species out of isolation that had lasted for millennia. Captain Ho-Jin, Lee walked onto the bridge carrying reports from the training centers. The former skeptic now oversaw the largest military education program in galactic history, with officers from hundreds of worlds learning the new tactical doctrines that kinetic weapons had made necessary. "Admiral, the latest graduation ceremony included cadets from 53 different species," he reported. "The Hegemony Military Academy is requesting permission to expand again. We can barely keep up with the demand for officers trained in kinetic warfare tactics." Jin-Woo smiled at the irony. A year ago, the aliens had dismissed human military knowledge as primitive. Now they were sending their best officers to learn from human instructors. "Any problems with integration between species?" he asked. "Actually, the opposite," Ho-Jin replied. "The shared challenge of mastering new technology seems to be breaking down barriers that have existed for thousands of years. I watched a Vorthak crystal singer teaching plasma theory to human cadets, while a Nathari stormrider learned railgun mathematics from a Quillen node speaker. It's remarkable." The bridge's communication system activated with the familiar chimes of crystal singer Varric. The Vorthak leader had become one of humanity's closest allies. His initial fear transformed into genuine partnership. "Admiral Park, the Council has reached a unanimous decision regarding the Outer Rim integration proposal. All member species vote in favor of extending full membership to any civilization willing to accept the responsibilities of kinetic weapon technology." This was the moment Jin-Woo had been working toward for months. The proposal would fundamentally change how the galaxy approached first contact with new species. Instead of the old system where established civilizations slowly evaluated newcomers, any species would be able to join the galactic community immediately if they demonstrated the wisdom to handle planet-killing weapons responsibly. "Thank you, Crystal Singer Varric. This decision will change the galaxy for the better." Ambassador Hyejin Choi's voice came through the communication system from the diplomatic section. "Admiral, we're receiving priority messages from 12 different sectors. The news of the Council's decision is spreading faster than we anticipated. The transformation of galactic civilization had accelerated beyond anyone's predictions. Trade volumes had increased by over 300% as previously isolated worlds joined the galactic economy. Scientific research had advanced more in the past year than in the previous century, as species shared knowledge that had been closely guarded for generations. "Sir," the sensor officer called out, "I'm detecting a massive hyperspace signature approaching from the galactic core. It's bigger than anything in our databases." Jinwoo moved to the tactical display as data flowed across the screens. Whatever was approaching was enormous, easily 10 times the size of the largest known starship. Could it be a new species making contact? Sora asked, studying the energy readings with scientific curiosity. Or something less friendly, Hojin added, his military instincts making him cautious about unknown vessels of such size. The massive ship dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the system, and every sensor in the combined fleet focused on it immediately. The vessel was unlike anything in the galactic databases. Its hull seemed to be made of living metal that shifted and flowed like liquid mercury. Organic-looking structures grew from its surface like crystalline trees. "This is Admiral Jinwoo Park of the Galactic Defense Initiative," he broadcast on all frequencies. "Unknown vessel, please identify yourself and state your intentions." For several tense minutes there was no response. Then a voice unlike any they had heard before filled the communication channels. It sounded ancient, patient, and somehow amused. "Greetings, young civilizations. We are the Ancients, the first species to achieve interstellar travel in this galaxy. We have been watching your recent developments with great interest." The bridge fell silent. Every species in the galaxy had legends about the Ancients, the mysterious first civilization that had supposedly vanished millions of years ago. Most scholars believed they were mythical. "We withdrew from galactic affairs long ago when we realized that our presence prevented younger species from finding their own paths to wisdom. But your recent innovations have convinced us that perhaps it is time to return." Jinwoo felt the weight of history settling on his shoulders. Humanity had not only transformed the current galaxy but had apparently impressed beings so advanced that they had been watching civilizations rise and fall for millions of years. "What interests you about our developments?" he asked carefully. "You are the first species to achieve galactic transformation not through conquest or intimidation, but through freely sharing your greatest advantages. When your kind developed weapons capable of destroying worlds, you chose to teach others how to build them rather than using them to dominate. This demonstrates a wisdom that we have rarely seen," the ancient continued. "We offer our knowledge and technology to your growing alliance, not as rulers, but as partners in building something greater than any single species could achieve." Sora was practically vibrating with scientific excitement. "Admiral, imagine what we could learn from beings who have been traveling between stars for millions of years." Hojin looked more practical concerns. "Admiral, if they're that advanced, why do they need partners?" The ancient seemed to hear his question. "Because wisdom is not something that can be imposed from above. It must be discovered, shared, and earned through cooperation. You humans understood this instinctively when you chose partnership over domination. This is why your galaxy has achieved peace in mere months, while others have struggled for millennia." Jinwoo looked around the bridge at his mixed crew of humans and aliens working together, then at the view screen showing the combined fleet of dozens of species united by shared purpose rather than fear. "On behalf of the Galactic Defense Initiative, we welcome your return," he said formally. "The galaxy is stronger when all civilizations can contribute their unique gifts." As if responding to his words, the ancient vessel began to glow with soft, warm light that somehow conveyed approval and hope. "Then let us begin building the future together." Ambassador Choi's voice carried amazement and joy. "Admiral, I'm receiving messages from across the galaxy. Species that we haven't even made contact with are sending congratulations. It seems everyone knows that something historic just happened." Hojin shook his head in wonder. "A year ago we were hoping to earn a little respect by showing off our railgun. Now we're welcoming the galaxy's first civilization as partners." Sora looked up from her instruments with tears of joy in her eyes. The energy readings from their ship are incredible. 6 months had passed since the railgun demonstration that changed everything. Dr. Sora Kim now stood in the largest research facility humanity had ever built, watching alien scientists from 12 different species work alongside human engineers to understand kinetic weapon technology. The laboratory complex orbited Earth's moon and buzzed with activity around the clock. The transformation had been remarkable. What started as a crisis that nearly led to galactic war had become the foundation for an entirely new era of interstellar cooperation. But the path to this moment had not been easy. Dr. Kim, the Nathari delegation is requesting another demonstration of the scaling principles, her assistant announced. The young human woman looked tired but excited. Working with alien scientists had become the dream job for researchers across Earth. Sorey nodded and walked toward the testing chamber, where a group of gas-dwelling Nathari floated, in their environmental suits. Their jellyfish-like forms moved gracefully as they observed human technicians preparing a small-scale railgun for firing. Stormrider Kethis, "Thank you for your patience," Sora said through the translation device. "This scaled-down version will help demonstrate how the electromagnetic principles can be adapted for different ship sizes and power systems." The Nathari scientist's translated voice carried notes of scientific curiosity. "Your species' approach to accelerating matter continues to fascinate us. The Nathari have been manipulating electromagnetic fields for atmospheric control for millennia, but we never considered using them as weapons." Meanwhile, in another part of the facility, Captain Ho-Jin Lee was leading a very different kind of meeting. The former skeptic had become one of humanity's most important military instructors, teaching alien officers how kinetic weapons change the entire nature of space warfare. The key difference, Ho-Jin explained to a mixed group of Vorthak and Quillen officers, is that kinetic weapons don't care about your shields or armor. Traditional plasma weapons can be deflected or absorbed by energy barriers. A tungsten rod moving at 15% light speed will go through any known defense like it doesn't exist. One of the Quillen node speakers raised a crystalline appendage. "This makes defensive strategies extremely difficult. How do you protect against something that cannot be stopped?" Ho-Jin smiled grimly. "You don't get hit in the first place. Speed and maneuverability become more important than heavy armor. The entire concept of slugging it out with big, slow battleships becomes obsolete." The implications of this tactical revolution had spread throughout the galaxy. Every major military force was now redesigning their fleets around smaller, faster ships that could avoid kinetic weapon fire, rather than absorb it. The massive dreadnoughts that had dominated space warfare for thousands of years were becoming museum pieces. In the diplomatic section of the facility, Ambassador Hee-Jin Choi was hosting her third interstellar conference of the week. The meeting room contained representatives from 37 different species, all trying to navigate the new political landscape that humanity's technology had created. The Terran Kinetic Weapons Treaty has now been signed by 41 civilizations, she announced to the assembled delegates. Under the terms of the treaty, all signatory species agree to share kinetic weapon technology freely, but also to establish strict protocols for their use near populated systems. Crystal singer Varric, who had become an unexpected ally after the initial panic, chimed in with approval. The Vorthak Harmony supports the expanded verification protocols. The galaxy has remained peaceful for 6 months because all species understand the consequences of misusing these weapons. The treaty had been humanity's greatest diplomatic achievement. Rather than hoarding railgun technology or using it as a threat, Earth had offered to share the knowledge with any civilization willing to accept the responsibilities that came with planet-killing weapons. The response had been overwhelming. Ambassador Choi, one of the newer delegates, called out, "The Zelani Republic wishes to join the treaty and request technical assistance in developing defensive kinetic systems for our asteroid mining operations." Haye-Jin made notes on her tablet. The requests for technical assistance had become so numerous that Earth was struggling to provide enough experts to meet demand. Human engineers and scientists were now scattered across dozens of worlds, helping alien civilizations adapt kinetic technology for both military and civilian purposes. The economic impact had been staggering. Earth had gone from being a minor player in galactic trade to the most important source of advanced weapons technology. Human corporations that had struggled to compete with alien businesses now found themselves overwhelmed with contracts and partnership offers. Admiral Jin-Woo Park, recently promoted after the success of his diplomatic approach, walked through the facility's command center, where human and alien officers worked side by side. The integrated crews had become surprisingly effective. combining human innovation with alien experience and knowledge. Admiral, a Quillen communications officer, reported, "We're receiving priority messages from the Outer Rim territories. 3 previously unknown civilizations have made contact requesting information about kinetic weapon technology." Jinwoo nodded. The news of railguns had spread even beyond the established galactic community. Species that had remained isolated for centuries were suddenly interested in joining the larger galactic civilization, drawn by the promise of technology that could level the playing field between old and new civilizations. "Any signs of hostile intent?" he asked. "No, sir. All 3 species appear to be seeking defensive capabilities against pirate organizations that have been using traditional plasma weapons to raid their shipping." This had become a common pattern. The galaxy's criminal organizations were discovering that their old tactics didn't work against targets equipped with kinetic weapons. A single human-built railgun could destroy an entire pirate fleet in seconds, making raiding operations extremely risky. Sora joined Jinwoo in the command center, carrying the latest research reports. Her scientific team had been working on applications of railgun technology that went far beyond military uses. "Admiral, the mining consortium on Kepler 438b reports that kinetic excavation tools are 30 times more efficient than plasma-based systems," she reported. "They're requesting permission to share the technology with the Hegemony Mining Guild." "Approved," Jinwoo replied. "What about the asteroid deflection project?" The test was successful. A single small-scale kinetic pulse was able to alter the trajectory of a kilometer-wide asteroid by exactly the calculated amount. The Galactic Disaster Prevention Council wants to install kinetic deflection systems in 12 star systems within the next year. The peaceful applications of kinetic technology had proven to be just as revolutionary as the military ones. Construction projects that would have taken decades using traditional tools could now be completed in months. Mining operations became dramatically more efficient. Even terraforming projects benefited from precise kinetic shaping of planetary surfaces. Ho-Jin approached them with a data pad full of military reports. "Admiral, the latest intelligence summaries show that piracy incidents have decreased by 93% in sectors where kinetic weapons are deployed. Several criminal organizations have apparently decided that legitimate business is safer than raiding ships that can vaporize them instantly." The transformation of galactic security had been one of the most unexpected benefits of the railgun revolution. For the first time in recorded history, space travel was becoming genuinely safe for civilian vessels. Insurance rates for merchant ships had plummeted, trade volumes were increasing dramatically, and previously isolated colonies were joining the galactic economy. "Sir," another officer called out, "Ambassador Choi requests your presence in the main conference room. The council leadership wants to discuss humanity's new status within the organization." Jinwoo made his way to the diplomatic section, where he found a very different meeting than the one 6 months earlier. Instead of condescending aliens treating humans like children, he saw representatives from dozens of species genuinely seeking Earth's guidance on military and technological matters. Crystal singer Varric's chimes had taken on tones of respect and even gratitude. "Admiral Park, the Vorthak Harmony wishes to formally propose humanity for permanent membership in the Council's Security Committee." The Quillen Node speakers, speaking in perfect harmony, once again added their support. "The Great Consciousness agrees. Humanity has demonstrated both the capability and wisdom necessary to help maintain galactic peace." Stormrider Nethys of the Nethari concluded, "The Wandering Winds have voted unanimously. Humanity should take its place among the galaxy's senior civilizations." Jinwoo looked around the room at faces that 6 months ago had been dismissive or fearful. Now they showed genuine respect and partnership. The young species that had been assigned junior status was being invited to help lead the galaxy. "On behalf of humanity, we accept," he replied formally. "But we propose that the council's structure be reformed to prevent any species from being treated as junior members simply because they are newly arrived. True galactic civilization should be based on cooperation between equals, not hierarchies based on age." 3 days later, Jinwoo stood on the bridge of the UES Soul's Pride, humanity's newest and most advanced warship. Through the main view screen, he could see the massive alien fleet gathering at the edge of the Kepler 442 system. The combined council forces looked impressive against the star field. their ships gleaming with advanced technology that had kept peace in the galaxy for thousands of years. Dr. Sora Kim worked frantically at her console, running final checks on the Railgun system. Her fingers moved quickly across the control panels as streams of data flowed across her screens. The electromagnetic coils that ran along the ship's spine hummed with barely contained energy. "Power levels are stable," she reported without looking up. "Targeting systems are online. The projectile is loaded and ready for firing sequence." Captain Ho-Jin Lee stood beside Jin Woo, watching the alien ships position themselves at what they considered a safe distance. The nearest council vessel was 50,000 kilometers away, far enough that their plasma weapons could not reach the human demonstration area. "They're being very careful," Ho-Jin observed. "Look how they're spreading out. They don't want to risk any damage to their precious ships." Ambassador Hee-Jin Choi sat at the communication station, monitoring the diplomatic channels. Messages flowed back and forth between the alien fleets as they coordinated their positions. The tone of their communications suggested they viewed this demonstration as an amusing curiosity rather than anything serious. "The Vorthak Admiral is asking if we need any assistance with our primitive weapon systems," Hee-Jin reported with barely hidden irritation. "The Quillen are placing bets on how long our demonstration will take. The Nathari are already preparing to leave if this becomes boring." Jinwoo felt his jaw tighten. The aliens had not even tried to hide their condescending attitude. They expected to see chemical rockets or basic laser weapons that would barely scratch a real military target. They had no idea what humanity had actually developed. The target for today's demonstration was a large asteroid that the Council had selected. It was made mostly of iron and rock, about 2 kilometers wide and dense enough to provide a good test of human weapons capabilities. According to the aliens, their own plasma weapons would take several minutes of sustained fire to completely destroy such a target. "All human ships, this is Admiral Jinwoo Park," he announced over the fleet communication channel. "Take your positions for the demonstration. Remember, this is not just about showing our technology. This is about showing the galaxy that humanity deserves respect." The small human fleet moved into formation. Compared to the massive alien dreadnoughts, the human ships looked tiny and insignificant. The Soul's Pride was the largest human vessel present, but it was still dwarfed by even the smallest council ship. Crystal Singer Varick's voice came through the communication system, its chime-like tones carrying across space. "Human Admiral, we are ready to observe your demonstration. Please proceed when your primitive systems are prepared." The casual insult in those words made several members of Jinwoo's crew exchange angry looks. Ho-Jin muttered something under his breath that the translation systems mercifully did not pick up. "Dr. Kim, status report," Jinwoo called out. Sora looked up from her console with excitement in her eyes. "All systems are green, Admiral. The railgun is charged and ready. Target acquisition is locked. We can fire at any time." Jinwoo nodded and opened a channel to the alien fleet. "Council representatives, thank you for your patience. We are ready to begin our demonstration of human defensive capabilities." Through the view screen, he could see alien ships adjusting their sensors to record the event. They expected to catalog another species' inferior technology for their databases. Instead, they were about to witness something that would change their understanding of warfare forever. "The target asteroid has been marked," the Quillen node speakers announced. "Your chemical explosives may begin their approach when ready." Jinwoo almost smiled at their assumption. They thought humans would fire missiles or rockets that would take minutes to cross the distance to the target. They had no concept of what a railgun could do. "Dr. Kim, you have permission to fire when ready," Jinwoo said calmly. Sora's hands moved across her control panel with practiced precision. The railgun system responded to her commands, drawing massive amounts of power from the ship's reactor. The electromagnetic coils along the Soul's Pride's spine began to glow with contained energy. "Firing sequence initiated," she announced. "Power at maximum levels. Target locked. Projectile ready for launch." The alien observers watched with mild interest as the human ship's energy signature spiked dramatically. Their sensors detected unusual electromagnetic activity, but nothing that matched their understanding of weapon systems. No plasma buildup, no missile launch signatures, no recognizable attack patterns. "Firing in 3, 2, 1, fire," Sora said. The railgun unleashed its fury in complete silence. There was no visible beam, no glowing projectile, no obvious sign that anything had happened at all. To the naked eye, It looked like the human ship had simply generated a brief electrical surge. But the tungsten rod that the railgun had accelerated was traveling at 15% of light speed. It crossed the 50,000 kilometers to the target asteroid in less than a second, moving so fast that even the aliens' advanced sensors could barely track its passage. The impact was unlike anything the Council species had ever witnessed. The asteroid did not simply explode. It did not break apart or shatter into pieces. The kinetic energy of the railgun projectile was so enormous that it instantly converted the entire 2-kilometer-wide rock into superheated plasma. The target asteroid became a brief artificial star that blazed with the light of a small sun. The shockwave from the impact spread outward in all directions. Several alien observation ships that had positioned themselves at what they thought was a safe distance suddenly found their shields overloaded and their systems failing. Emergency alerts sounded across the Council fleet as vessels scrambled to retreat from the expanding energy wave. For several long seconds, the space where the asteroid had been continued to glow with residual heat and energy. When the light finally faded, there was nothing left. Not debris, not fragments, not even dust. The target had been completely and utterly annihilated. The communication channels fell silent. For the first time in millennia, the collected representatives of the Galactic Council had nothing to say. On the Soul's Pride, Sora calmly checked her readings and announced, "Target eliminated. Railgun functioning within normal parameters. All systems show green status. Ready for next demonstration if required." Hojin stared at the empty space where the asteroid had been, his mouth hanging open. "Sora, what exactly did we just unleash?" Before she could answer, the alien communication channels exploded with activity. Panic-stricken voices in dozens of languages filled the airwaves as Council ships reported damage, sensor overloads, and complete sensor blindness from the energy release. The Vorthak Admiral's crystalline voice crackled with what could only be described as terror. "What was that weapon? How did you achieve such energy output? This is impossible according to all known physics." The Quillen node speakers had broken their usual perfect harmony. All three voices spoke at once in different languages, creating a chaos of sound that their translation systems could not handle. The Nathari Storm Rider's voice carried undertones of fear and awe. The energy release was equivalent to a stellar event. How did such a small ship generate that much destructive power? Jinwoo allowed himself a small smile as he watched alien ships frantically scanning the Soul's Pride with every sensor they had. They were trying to understand how humans had bypassed every law of warfare they thought they knew. "Admiral," Sora said quietly, "I'm reading massive sensor sweeps from all Council ships. They're trying to analyze our weapon system." "Let them look," Jinwoo replied. "They won't understand what they're seeing. Kinetic energy weapons are apparently beyond their experience." Ambassador Hyojin looked up from her communication station with wide eyes. "Admiral, I'm receiving priority messages from 12 different Council worlds. Word of what just happened is spreading across the galaxy at faster than light speeds. The implications of that hit everyone on the bridge at the same time." This demonstration had not just impressed the local Council representatives. News of humanity's railgun was already racing across interstellar communication networks, reaching every major civilization in the galaxy. "Sir," the ship's sensor officer called out, "I'm detecting several Council ships jumping to hyperspace. They appear to be leaving the area in considerable haste." Through the viewscreen, Jinwoo could see the massive Nathari vessel beginning to fade as it transitioned into faster-than-light travel. 2 smaller Quillen ships were already gone, leaving only energy signatures behind. Crystal Singer Varek's voice came through the communication system again, but now it carried a tone of barely controlled panic. "Human Admiral, we must discuss this weapon immediately. The Council requires full technical specifications and operational limitations." Jinwoo exchanged glances with his senior officers. The aliens who had been treating humanity like primitive children were now demanding information about human technology. The news spread across the galaxy like wildfire. Within 6 hours of the railgun demonstration, every major civilization knew that humanity had developed something completely different from traditional weapons. Communication networks that usually carried routine trade information and diplomatic messages now buzzed with urgent reports about the new human technology. Jinwoo sat in his ready room aboard the Soul's Pride, reading intelligence reports that painted a picture of galactic chaos. The simple demonstration had triggered the biggest military crisis in over 1,000 years. Species that had felt safe behind their plasma shields and energy barriers suddenly realized that their defenses meant nothing against kinetic weapons moving at near light speed. Dr. So-Ra Kim entered the room carrying a tablet full of sensor data. Her eyes showed a mixture of scientific excitement and growing concern about what they had unleashed. "Admiral, I've been monitoring communications across 17 different star systems," she said. "The reaction is unlike anything in recorded galactic history. Some species are calling for an immediate ban on kinetic weapons. Others are demanding access to our technology. 3 civilizations have already started evacuating their border worlds." Jinwoo looked up from his reports with tired eyes. "What about the council leadership?" "That's where it gets interesting," So-Ra replied. "The older species like the Vorthak are trying to maintain control, but the younger civilizations are questioning everything. Apparently, several species have been secretly developing their own kinetic weapon projects for decades, but they never thought to accelerate projectiles to relativistic speeds." Captain Ho-Jin Lee walked in without knocking, something he only did when bringing urgent news. His weathered face showed a grim expression that Jinwoo had learned to recognize over the years. "Admiral, we have a problem," Ho-Jin announced. 3 Quillen battle fleets just jumped into the outer system. They're demanding immediate surrender of all railgun technology and the arrest of our entire research team. So-Ra's tablet nearly slipped from her hands. "Arrest on what charges?" "Violations of galactic warfare treaties, possession of weapons of mass destruction, and endangering peaceful civilizations," Ho-Jin read from his own device. "They claim our railgun represents an unacceptable threat to galactic stability." Jinwoo stood up and walked to the room's small window. Outside, he could see the lights of other human ships maintaining their defensive positions. Earth's small fleet looked pathetic compared to the massive alien armadas gathering throughout the system, but he knew appearances could be deceiving. "Any word from Ambassador Choi?" he asked. "She's been in emergency sessions with council representatives for the past 4 hours, Ho-Jin replied. "The Vorthak are split between fear and fascination. The Nathari have gone completely silent, which apparently means they're either terrified or preparing for war. Nobody seems to know which." The communication system in Jinwoo's ready room suddenly activated. Ambassador He-Jin Choi's voice came through with barely controlled urgency. "Admiral Park, please report to the diplomatic conference room immediately. The situation has become extremely complicated." Jinwoo, So-Ra, and Ho-Jin made their way through the ship's corridors quickly. Crew members they passed looked worried but determined. Word of the alien fleet movements had spread through the ship, and everyone understood that humanity might be facing its first interstellar war. The conference room was filled with holographic displays, showing the positions of various alien fleets throughout the system. Ambassador Choi stood at the center, surrounded by communication screens connecting her to diplomatic representatives across the galaxy. "Admiral, the Council has officially classified humanity as a Class 5 military threat," she announced without preamble. "That's the highest classification in their system, reserved for species capable of destroying entire star systems." So-Ra looked confused. "But we only destroyed 1 asteroid. How does that translate to system-wide destruction?" "Because they understand the implications even if we didn't fully consider them," Hyejin replied. "A railgun projectile moving at 15% light speed doesn't just destroy its target. If it misses, it keeps going until it hits something else. One miscalculated shot could devastate a populated planet millions of kilometers away." The weight of that realization hit everyone in the room. The railgun wasn't just a ship-to-ship weapon. It was potentially a planet killer that could cause destruction across vast distances. "The mathematical projections are terrifying them," Hyejin continued. "They've calculated that a single human ship with a railgun could theoretically destroy multiple planets in different star systems with 1 shot. If the trajectory was planned correctly." Jinwoo felt a chill run down his spine. "Are they right?" So-Ra was already working on her tablet, running quick calculations. "Theoretically, yes. The kinetic energy at those speeds would be devastating to any target. And in space, there's nothing to stop the projectile except gravity or direct collision." Ho-Jin cursed under his breath. "No wonder they're panicking. We didn't just show them a new weapon. We showed them a way to fight wars that makes their entire military philosophy obsolete." The communication system activated again, and crystal singer Varek's chime-like voice filled the room. but now the musical tones carried undertones of fear and anger that the translation system struggled to convey. Human representatives, the Vorthak harmony demands immediate explanation of your weapon capabilities. How many of these kinetic devices do you possess? What are their maximum ranges? What safeguards exist to prevent accidental planetary destruction? Before anyone could respond, the Quillen node speakers joined the communication. Their usual perfect harmony was replaced by urgent overlapping voices. The Great Consciousness requires full technical specifications of all human weapon systems. The galaxy cannot accept the existence of unregulated kinetic weapons. Compliance is mandatory for the safety of all civilizations. Storm Rider Nethys of the Nethari added his voice, the thunder-like tones now carrying obvious threat. The wandering winds will not tolerate weapons that can destroy our atmospheric ships from across star systems. Humanity must choose between voluntary disarmament and forced compliance. Jinwoo looked at his team and realized they were facing the first major crisis in human interstellar relations. The demonstration that was supposed to earn them respect had instead made them the most feared species in the galaxy. "Ambassador, what are our options?" he asked quietly. Yejin pulled up several diplomatic reports on her screens. "Not good. 17 species have called for immediate military action against Earth. 23 others want to quarantine all human worlds until our weapon capabilities can be assessed. Only 6 civilizations are arguing for continued diplomatic solutions. What about Earth's response?" Sora asked. "The United Earth government is scrambling to understand the situation," Hijin replied. "Most of our political leaders had no idea the Railgun project existed. Now they're dealing with the possibility that humanity might be facing a galactic war less than a week after joining the Council." Hojin was monitoring the tactical displays showing alien fleet movements. "Admiral, we have more immediate problems. The Quillen battle fleets are moving into attack positions. Their plasma cannon arrays are powering up." Jinwoo studied the tactical situation. 3 human ships against dozens of alien vessels, each one larger and more heavily armed than anything Earth had ever built. Under normal circumstances, it would be suicide to even consider fighting. But these weren't normal circumstances. The aliens were terrified of human weapons, which meant they didn't really understand how railguns worked or what their limitations might be. "Dr. Kim, how many railgun projectiles do we have aboard the Soul's Pride?" he asked. Sora checked her inventory logs. 12 tungsten rods, Admiral, each one configured for different target types and ranges. "And how long does it take to reload and fire again?" "Approximately 3 minutes for full power shots. The electromagnetic coils need time to recharge between firings." Jinwoo nodded slowly. The aliens didn't know about the reload time or the limited ammunition. They were operating on the assumption that human ships could fire devastating kinetic weapons continuously. "Open a channel to all alien fleets," he ordered. The communication system activated, and Jinwoo's voice carried across space to hundreds of listening ships. "To all Galactic Council representatives, this is Admiral Jinwoo Park of the United Earth Forces. Humanity did not intend to threaten galactic peace with our demonstration. However, we will not surrender our defensive capabilities or submit to forced disarmament." Crystal Singer Varric's response came immediately. "Admiral, your weapons represent an unacceptable risk to all peaceful civilizations. The Council cannot allow such destructive power to remain in the hands of an untested species." "Then perhaps," Jinwoo replied calmly, "the Council needs to reconsider how it treats new member species. Humanity developed these weapons because we were told our existing defenses were inadequate for galactic threats. We simply found a more effective solution than plasma-based systems." The communication channels fell silent for several minutes. Jinwoo could imagine the frantic discussions taking place aboard alien command ships. Commander Jinwoo Park stood at the observation window of Earth's newest space station, watching alien ships approach through the black void. Each vessel looked different from anything humans had ever built. The Vorthak ship sparkled like a giant crystal, catching starlight and bending it into rainbow colors. The Quillen vessel moved in perfect formation as if controlled by one mind. The Nethari ship looked like a floating cloud, its gas-filled chambers glowing softly in the darkness. Today was the day humanity would officially join the Galactic Council. After 30 years of careful watching, the alien species had finally decided Earth was ready to become part of their peaceful organization. Jinwoo felt proud, but something in his gut told him this meeting would not go as smoothly as the diplomats hoped. Dr. Sora Kim walked up beside him, carrying her tablet full of sensor readings. She had been studying the alien ship since they arrived 3 days ago. Her dark eyes focused on the Vorthak crystal ship with scientific curiosity. "Their weapon systems are interesting," she said quietly. "All plasma-based, just like our intelligence report suggested. But there's something strange about the energy signatures. They seem limited somehow." Jinwoo nodded. He had read the same reports. Every known alien species used plasma weapons that fired superheated gas at their targets. The weapons were powerful, but had built-in safety systems that prevented them from causing too much damage. It seemed the entire galaxy had agreed to fight wars without completely destroying each other. Captain Ho-Jin Lee approached them with heavy footsteps. The older man had fought in the Mars colony wars 20 years ago and did not trust easily. His weathered face showed concern as he watched the alien ships dock with the station. "I still think we're making a mistake," Ho-Jin said. "These aliens have been watching us for decades. They know everything about our technology, our weapons, our military strength. But we barely know anything about them." Ambassador Hee-Jin Choi overheard the conversation as she walked by. She wore the formal blue uniform of the Earth Diplomatic Corps, and her calm expression showed years of training in dealing with difficult situations. "Captain Lee, we have been preparing for this moment since the aliens first made contact," she said. "Our scientists have studied their technology. Our military analysts have reviewed their ship designs. We know enough to engage with them safely." Ho-Jin shook his head. "Knowing and understanding are two different things. These beings have been traveling between stars for thousands of years. They see us as children playing with fire." The truth in his words made everyone uncomfortable. Humanity had only developed faster than light travel 50 years ago. Most human colonies were still less than 30 years old. Compared to alien civilizations that had existed for millennia, humans were indeed very young. An announcement echoed through the station. "All diplomatic personnel report to Conference Room Alpha. The Galactic Council representatives are ready to begin the formal admission process." The group made their way through the station corridors. Other humans stopped to watch them pass. Everyone knew this was a historic moment. Humanity was about to join an organization that included dozens of intelligent species from across the galaxy. It could mean the beginning of a golden age of peace, knowledge, and prosperity. Conference Room Alpha was the largest meeting space on the station. The human delegation sat on one side of a large table, while the alien representatives took positions on the other side. The room's environmental systems worked overtime to provide suitable atmosphere for each species. The Vorthak representative was a tall, crystalline being whose body reflected light in complex patterns. When it spoke, its voice sounded like wind chimes in a gentle breeze. "Greetings, humans of Earth. I am Crystal Singer Varric, speaking for the Vorthak Harmony. We welcome you to the Galactic Council after careful observation of your species." The Quillen representative appeared to be 3 separate beings, but Jinwoo knew they shared one collective mind. When they spoke, all 3 voices created perfect harmony. "We are node speakers Kellen, Melon, and Tellen of the Great Quillen Consciousness. Your species shows promise, though you still have much to learn about peaceful coexistence." The Netheri representative was harder to see clearly. Its gas-filled environmental suit created a misty outline of a floating, jellyfish-like creature. Its voice came through a translation device that made it sound like distant thunder. "I am Stormrider Nethys of the Wandering Winds. The Nethari have watched your expansion into space with interest. You are energetic, though sometimes reckless." Ambassador Hyjin stood and bowed respectfully. "On behalf of the United Earth Government and all human colonies, I thank you for this opportunity. We are honored to join the Galactic Council and contribute to the peace and prosperity of our galaxy." Crystal Singer Varric's body flashed brighter. "Before full membership can be granted, we must discuss certain practical matters. As a new species, humanity will be assigned junior status within the Council. This means limited voting rights and restricted access to certain technologies." Jinwoo felt his jaw tighten, but he kept his expression neutral. Limited voting rights had not been mentioned in the preliminary negotiations. The Quillen node speakers continued the explanation. "Additionally, Earth and all human colonies will be required to pay a protection tax to the Council fleet. This ensures your safety from pirates, hostile species, and other threats you are not yet equipped to handle." Sora looked at Jinwoo with surprise. A protection tax was essentially tribute money. The aliens were treating humanity like a weak species that needed their protection. Stormrider Nethys added, "Your trading rights will also be restricted initially. Human merchants may only trade with approved council worlds until your economic systems mature sufficiently." Ho Jin's hands clenched into fists under the table. These were not the terms of partnership that Earth's leaders had expected. The aliens were offering membership, but only as junior partners with limited rights and significant obligations. Ambassador Haye Jin maintained her diplomatic composure. These terms were not discussed in our preliminary negotiations. We understood that council membership meant equal status among all species. Crystal Singer Varric's chime sounded almost amused. Equal status must be earned through time and proven capability. Your species has shown technological progress, but you lack the wisdom and restraint that comes with age. The Council has maintained galactic peace for over 3,000 years using proven methods. The alien representatives began displaying holographic images of their military fleets. Massive ships bristling with plasma cannons filled the air above the table. The weapons looked incredibly advanced compared to anything in Earth's Navy. These vessels represent the combined military might of the Council species, the Vorthak explained. Our plasma-based weapon systems are the product of millennia of refinement. They are powerful enough to defend against any threat, yet precise enough to minimize unnecessary destruction. The Quillen added, "All Council species have agreed to use only approved weapon systems. This prevents the kind of devastating wars that once plagued younger civilizations." The Natari concluded, "Your primitive chemical rockets and basic energy weapons are insufficient for modern galactic warfare. Under Council protection, you will not need to develop more advanced systems." Jin Woo exchanged glances with his team. The aliens were essentially saying that human military technology was worthless, and that humanity should be grateful for their protection. The condescending tone was clear, even through the translation devices. Sora raised her hand politely. "With respect, might we demonstrate some of our defensive capabilities? Our engineers have been working on some interesting projects." The alien representatives looked at each other with what seemed like amusement. Crystal Singer Varric's chimes tinkled softly. "Of course, we would be fascinated to see what innovations your young species has developed. Perhaps we could arrange a demonstration in a few days." Ambassador Heejin nodded. "That would be acceptable. We appreciate your willingness to observe our technological progress." After the meeting ended and the aliens departed, the human delegation gathered in a private room. The mood was tense. Everyone had expected negotiations, but not outright dismissal of human capabilities. "They're treating us like children," Ho Jin said bluntly. "Protection taxes, restricted trading rights, limited voting power. This isn't membership, it's colonization with extra steps." Sora was already working on her tablet, reviewing sensor data from the alien ships. "Their plasma weapons are impressive, but I noticed something interesting. The energy output seems artificially limited. It's as if they're deliberately holding back their full potential." Jin Woo walked to the window and looked out at the alien ships again. Maybe that's their idea of restraint. But I wonder how they'll react when they see what humans consider restraint. He turned back to his team with a slight smile. "Dr. Kim, how is Project Thunder coming along?" Sora's eyes lit up with scientific excitement. "The Railgun system is ready for testing. We just need a suitable target and enough space to demonstrate its full capabilities safely." Ambassador Hee Jin looked concerned. "Are we certain we want to reveal that technology so soon? Once they know about it, there's no going back."